Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's me. I'm back. Jumping right into it. Who needs to have a stream intro when you could just go right into it? Let's get started. Excuse me. Yeah. So, let me see if I can find it. This game jam, it's not really a game jam, but this just regular jam. Godot add-on jam, which is really just for like editor tooling. I'm planning on joining that. And that starts tomorrow in 8 hours. How nice. So that should be fun, I guess. We'll see. Oh no. Just when I start streaming, I start receiving messages on my phone as well. Can't you see that I'm a busy man? Things to do, things to say, random things to work on that may or may not be useful to other people. Today of all days, I'm also like busy today as well, which is why I'm kind of late. Because this week is it's a busy week. It's a busy week. Lots of deadlines, lots of deliverables, as they say in the biz. I'm kind of behind on a lot of stuff. Alright. Yeah. So we're not actually working on that thing just yet. I'm actually working on a tool for tooling. How nice. So you can see here that you can click on a thing and then stuff will happen. Wow. And then you'll be able to run the project if you want, I guess. Right? So you can either click run and then I'll just run it. You can double click with a given double click speed. So it's what I'm basically making is a launcher for Godot. It's a launcher slash it's just a replacement for Godot's built-in project manager. So that sounds pretty dumb, except when you stop to think about it, Godot's project manager is kind of bad. Or it's not great, right? Because I think the idea of having add-ons isn't really a universal thing, unfortunately. So it's kind of tough. So if you want to use an add-on in your project, you have to, it's almost an entirely manual process. Like, yeah, you can have a script to do it, but then you still need to run the script when you create the project and all that. Whereas with my idea, here's what I'm thinking, is that once you click the new button, you'll have your, you have your couple of tabs here. You have your projects, your plugins, your config. Oh, hello, Needle Mouse, hello. IH and or could be hi. Either one of those. HI, Hilton International. Shield detected. How are you doing, Needle Mouse? What I'm working on, check this out, is it's a project manager. Basically, because I'm planning on entering. This is not really a game jam. That's why in the stream title it says preparing for a Godot game ? Jam. So it's for Godot add-ons. I was starting to work on a game maker-esque pixel art add-on for Godot, but I've decided to push that out and just work on it during the jam. So instead, what I'm working on is this, which is, it looks like Godot's built-in project manager. However, it has a few more features. One is the ability to create a template project. So it will create, you know, stuff with the, you know, the necessary folder structure, any files you may or may not want to, you know, already have there. So for me, I usually have an app manager plus a logger file. So that's just how I like to do things. And then also, because I'm planning on entering the Ghetto Addon jam, right? Add-ons in Godot are specific to each project, which is kind of a pain if you're using an add-on like that makes things simpler for you, right? So I thought it'd be cool to just have like a manager on top of that. But that's not, this is not the add-on. This is just like a manager tool. The add-on is going to be the pixel art thing. The add-on is just going to be the pixel art thing. So that's what we're working on today. Let's get to it. Well, working on the project manager, not the actual pixel art tool. Pixel art tool is for tomorrow, because that starts tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern time. Or I suppose US Eastern time. You want to be pedantic. Although it's something that I've seen more and more is that, I don't know, people seem to use UTC, which is kind of weird. It's like, oh, sorry, I gave you the time in UTC. I don't know, who uses UTC? Are you crazy? Cool to have a pixel art add-on. Yeah, so there are like really old add-ons, but it's weird. Yeah, like I've heard it from like a few people in the Godot developer community that there is like a pixel art add-on, but I couldn't find one. So here we are. UTC is fun if everything's global. Oh yeah, UTC is great if you're working with like a globally distributed team. So like my last job worked with mostly a bunch of people from either like US West Coast and like Eastern Europe. So it's like people from, it's not Belarus, what's the one? Romania. Lots of like Romanians for whatever reason. So we just had to do everything as UTC, and you know, there was me in the middle as Eastern time. To redo some sprites now because I changed to a platformer. Changed a platform into an RPG-like setup. Nice, nice. I am also somewhat trying to branch out, or not branch out, expand one of my ideas. So this is kind of what I have. Test unit, look at that. I made sprites, hooray. Now that I'm looking at it again with fresh eyes, the pale yellow color is really sickly looking, but that's okay. I have it's a throwback to my very first game idea that I was working on stream. Still trying to make that work. Yeah. So this is just gonna be a replacement for Godot's built-in project manager. So it will allow you to completely bypass Godot's project manager. Why would you want to do that? So there's a few reasons. One, you don't need to, I don't know, like there's just gonna be more features and better support for plugins and stuff. So, I don't know, yeah, I thought it was, something I thought was weird is that like Godot doesn't really, Godot doesn't really have support for project templates, which is bizarre to me. So if you want to have a project template, you just have to have like a copy of another project and then copy and paste that in, as opposed to like, you know, having first class editor support for like, oh, I want Oh, like one of these or one of these. Godot always just gives you an empty folder with the bare minimum, which is fine. Not bad. Could be worse. Returns an empty string, the environment variable doesn't exist. Alright, so if env version size length suppose I could just do like if not env version, but I've come full circle on like falsy truthy values. No longer a huge fan of falsy truthy, because that tends to be very confusing in my experience. Like sometimes you'll just think like, oh, like as long as we get like some sort of array back, right? You know, so you know, if array do a thing, but then like an empty array actually evaluates to false, which is hard. It's tough. Alright, so hold on. Oh, hello, Knock. Oh, thank you very much for yet another tier 2 subscription. Much appreciated. You not? My dog. How are you? How are you doing? Hold on. Good, have you been? I've been alright. You know, I guess the job I was talking about like last year. Just completely quit that stuff. It's had a bad feeling. Kind of felt like my my boss was like had something against me, because he kept assigning me like the worst things and kept saying like, oh, but you're like a Rust developer, right? And I was like, wait. Wait a minute. Something here isn't right. And then then all of like the upper management quit. So I was like, you know what? That's my cue to leave. You did the crypto one? Yeah. So now I can talk about it. Yeah, it was actually, I still can't talk about it because I only filed 2 weeks notice, but it's I'm done with that. Good thing I still have the other job. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I had a bad feeling, decided to trust my gut feeling, and then like 2 days afterwards, I found out that like a lot of like regulations were then put in place. A lot of their future plans were rejected. I was like, oh, it's a good thing I got out of there. And then like a lot of their upper management also quit. So, just had a feeling. Yeah. It does mean now that I have a lot more time. Although I'm now on a new project at work as well. So, you know, working with mainframes. Like containers plus mainframes. So I'm interested to see what that means. And it's also a pretty short project as well. So it's not like, oh, I've been relegated to just working with mainframes now, but just an opportunity to see what all the fuss is about. Now, how'd the lip sync thing go? Oh, so check this out. Are you working as a consultant? I do work as a consultant. I work as a professional services consultant for a big open source company. And then I guess also may or may not have been working as a they call it an SDET, you know, software development engineer in test. You can call it a QA engineer. I don't do QA. I did like the test harnesses, but that was for a crypto firm. One of the biggest ones in the US, but all right, let's check this out. It takes a little, yeah. I think it looks okay from far away. The phonemes are a little messed up because I think they're actually all reversed. Just because you don't like testing. I like testing. I just prefer it when it's, you know, I think it's easier to test things when they are built to be tested, which was not the case. You never test non-work stuff. Well, you know, I like being paid to test stuff because it's easy, right? If being paid to test things, that's really easy. Being paid to test things, that's really easy because it's, you know, your requirements are already gathered for you, right? It's like, oh, it needs to work like this. Easy. As opposed to, I don't know, other stuff. You know, having to schedule your own meetings with like, oh, find out who the main stakeholders are. All that good stuff. Which I'm back to doing, I guess, but I suppose that is one of the things I was better at. Yeah, hey, you know, I was doing pretty well up until they dumped, you know, they were like, hey, we need you to like mock out Apache Kafka. And I was like, yeah, I can try. And as it turns out, it's very, very difficult to mock out Apache Kafka. Especially if you cannot mock the kind of in-between libraries. I thought I could mock out the in-between libraries, which would make it really easy, but as it turns out, if you don't build for it, it's not easy whatsoever. Yeah, no, everything, like, so, you know, it was done in Rust, right? So I was like, that's easy, right? Like, everything in Rust is a trait, but actually, what they were using was just, everything was a struct. So I was like, oh god. I'm dying. So I got it to a point where, like, I could reliably, like, sub in certain messages. Do I use hexagonal architectures? I don't really know what that means, but I'll let you do it. Huh. Wait. But yeah, I mean, I got it to the points where, because the way the library works, and I guess how Apache Kafka works, is that everything is a pointer because Kafka is, you know, Java-based. And so, since we can also reliably rely on the fact that all structs will be in the same memory layouts, what I was doing was I was manually just constructing pointer structs and then passing those in as, you know, the message. Okay, ports and adapters pattern? Oh, I don't really know. Fancy way of saying everything external is behind an interface. Yeah. Yeah, that would have made my life a lot easier. But no, it's weird because like I tried to do the same thing for like their Postgres stuff as well, because their entire test harness wasn't like they had everything set up to be like basically an integration test. So it was impossible to test anything in isolation, which is what they wanted. Right. But going through like the SQLX stuff in Rust, SQLX Rust. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, SQLX. It's actually not possible to mock out certain parts of SQLX because some of those traits are sealed traits or private traits. Basically a sealed trait, right? So, you know, if you want to mock out like a database row, you're not able to do that. And because you're not able to do that, you're actually not able to mock out the database. Why would you do this? I don't want to fork it either. Weird macro test harness or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they were asking for. But anyways, check this out. So what I'm doing, I've already explained this a few times, but let's just go over it again. Also, how have you been, Knock? I feel like I haven't seen you around, but you're probably busy. We're all adults here. This is what I'm doing. Fennelpong GD. Oh, it's ignore Fennelpong GD. But well, what I'm planning on participating in is the Godot add-on jam. I didn't realize it was this soon. I was kind of working on my free time, or in my free time, on a a pixel art add-on for Godot, right? So you would just enable it, and then be able to edit pixel art files in Godot as opposed to having to, right? Because I work with simple pixel art stuff like this. It would be really nice if I was just able to edit this in Godot. I've been off Twitch for ages, and it's the first time I'm on in 2022, I'm assuming. Not 2020. Hey you're awake. They caught you trying to cross the border. Something like that. But yeah. Pandemic? Oh yeah, dude. I think like after Christmas, I came down with like a really bad, what's it called? Fever. And I was just out of commission for a week and a half. So did I have COVID? I don't know. What I do know is I was like super delirious for like 3 days and then had like a really bad cough for a week and a half. So possibly. Or it was just like a cold. Yeah, so this looks a lot like the Godot project manager. It's actually not. So right now it's just a launcher. And then this is the project I'm planning on working on for the, you know, Godot add-on jam. Which, you know, I'll post a link. I've already made a little bit of progress, but we'll just kind of ignore that for now. There's nothing too much, right? It's mostly just the... I guess the fancy part is I do some script manipulation, some code injection just to make it a tool script when you activate it, which is neat. Yeah, this is a wrapper. What I'm working on right now is a wrapper around the Godot launcher. So, because it's the add-on jam, right there, you probably want your add-ons to be in every single project that you're working on. If it's like a tool, if it's a helpful tool, it's just nice to have around. But unfortunately, Godot does not provide the facilities for that, so that's what I'm working on. So the idea is that you'll just have your basic project stuff, project list, etc. Then you'll have your plugins, and then when you click new, you'll have the ability to, you know, create a new folder, all that stuff. And then define which plugins you want, if you want like a project template to be used. Yeah, and you know, about and config are just kind of like, you know, the path to the Godot executable used to, you know, open these projects. So you pretty much never have to use the built-in Godot project manager, even though the built-in Godot project manager looks a lot better, but that's okay. I've kind of approximated it anyways. Yeah. I've been a lot busier though. It's probably a selling point of yours. Allows for easy plugin distribution, and also just like project templates. I suppose also allows you to use multiple Godot versions if you mess with your config. But I'm not sure how smart of an idea that is. So it's just supposed to be a small wrapper anyways. He says as he starts to make it more and more complicated. Plugins. Call this templates. Feel that'd be useful. Doesn't Unity have something similar, like Unity Helpers, whatever? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so you can have multiple Unity versions, and then you open a project in whatever. I think I might need to have, or I almost certainly need to have like a separate metadata folder, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, etc. Yeah, it's actually pretty surprising how well I'm able to kind of approximate the built-in Godot stuff. So it's nice that they're using their own UI system. They're dogfooding their own UI system. Yeah. And I've also didn't realize, but Godot has the ability to read in environment variables, so we can do some code injection as well at runtime, which is neat. That's actually how this application works in the CI builds. So it injects in a different environment variable to run the tests, which is neat. Sounds dangerous, that's all right. When you worked with Java for as long as I have, it's all about the same stuff. It's all about the same stuff. Yeah. Let's continue working on, I think I need to, there's run, new, scan, and then that's pretty much it. I guess import is something that you would also want. So you want some sort of import button to import an existing project, even though like I try to auto scan automatically. And then if I'm doing that, then I also need to have like a metadata file, if you say so. It's all right. You've already established I have pretty much no idea what I'm doing. Still managed to get things done though. It's kind of like the, this is how you know you watch too many lore videos on things you're not even like involved with. That's kind of, isn't that how like the orcs work in Warhammer 40k, right? Is that they clearly have no idea what they're doing, but like the more that they believe that something will work, the more it works. So pretty much like the epitome of cargo cults mentality, but in that universe, it's like it's a real thing. Let's see. What is that hard-coded path? Just ignore the hard-coded path for now. Unless you're talking about this hard-coded path, in which case it's completely necessary, unfortunately. Because it is just like a node path, so that's just how it works. Yeah, so on scan, we should scan a directory, and then we'll need to also have some sort of configuration management. All right, so let's cannibalize my other projects. I suppose also check this out. Instead of using my own launcher, I'll just show you this. Because we're just getting super distracted right now. So check this out. Oh, geez. Oh, I forgot. This is where I ended up. So this is, I was working on this for like half a month, which is live 2D loading, which is the standard, well, I guess the most popular type of VTuber stuff. But as it turns out, it's actually like ridiculously difficult to do. And I'm not sure that Godot actually has the capability to do this. Like, I think I'm pretty close. But it looks like every single implementation of a live 2D renderer uses a stencil buffer, which Godot does not expose. Which is, I think, what I need for this part right here. Is that as painful as you're saying? Oh, you would not believe. You would not believe how painful it was. So check this out. We're just showing off everything now. Father, look at what I made. So I wrote this thing. It's in Rust. I think I've actually finally figured out. I didn't read the Rust book all the way through, but I finally just understood how Rust works now. For the most part, which is if it's mutable, if the function takes a mutable anything, you are consuming the variable. Otherwise, it's okay. And that's what I needed. Anyways, here we are. We just load in a bunch of stuff. We read all the files using a separate Rust library. So this is kind of a wrapper. It's almost entirely just like Rust interop. Because the Rust thing handles the C libraries, and you need the C libraries in order to actually read like the Mach 3 file. And then the Mach 3 file defines like the mapping between the sprite sheet and the meshes. So there are 83 meshes on screen right now that are being redrawn as fast as possible. Godot binding for Rust wrapper on the C. Yeah, it's pretty painful. It's pretty painful. But this is pretty much as far as I can go. I'm not sure what to do about this part here. Because this is what's supposed to... Oh, I forgot I added this. So this thing should be displaying in front of the hair here, but for whatever reason, I can't figure out how to make it not do this. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, this is one of the last things I need to do, but I don't know. I don't know anymore. It's so close, though, because it's also running the animations as well. It's not hooked up to face tracking, but... I have all the parameters. Exposed via Godot. Look at that. Just it's actually not that long if you think about it. Yeah, it's only 200 something lines in a single file. With a lot of garbage in it as well. Well, and then also like a factory file, but... You know. So I'm gonna be bouncing between like 3 projects, I guess. Hopefully I can get the pixel art stuff done. Then I'll just be bouncing between 2 projects. It's positively tiny. Yeah, well... How many lines was my Rust library? I don't know. Like, check this out. Third party, don't really need anything. But loader... actually, loader isn't that much either. It's only roughly 712. 712, and then this one is 200. That's not bad. It's a lot of trial and error, though. Just like VRM, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Alright, so scan. Data path. Oh, okay, so this is what I need to change. Is that there's like a default data path, and then okay, we can change this, or we'll change it later, I suppose. Then import. Okay, so I'll need to, as I said I was going to do, cannibalize this project. So there is a config manager that I want, so grab this. Or actually, yeah. The config manager has some good stuff in it. There's a lot of like absolute garbage in it as well. Not too much you can do about that. So here's your config manager. Let's see. Get rid of all of these. The farther I go along with development, the more I kind of dislike how I did like signal management, or I guess like data message management, I suppose. But on the same token, like the message management stuff I was doing was also not too bad in terms of implementing like remote controls for the stuff. So something I was working on as well. I'm working on a lot of stuff. The more I say it out loud, the more stuff it sounds like I'm working on. But working on like also the ability to just have a separate app, be able to connect to your current computer over a certain port, whatever, so that you'll never need to have the UI visible. So you could just like open up your browser, open up your phone or something, and then control this, which is then validated my usage of just like a really, really gross like message management system. Working on 4 projects right now, so you're not alone. It's good to know. It's good to know. You know what I did figure out though? Something I was doing during a meeting today, because I, for whatever reason, I'm just inundated with tons of meetings. Is something like this. You might recognize it. This is Zig, linked with Raylib, and then the installation instructions are also incorrect. So I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I learned a lot when I was doing this. I wrote my notes down into a README. Yeah, so you have to update this Git submodules, modify some paths because they're not relative, even though the project does say that they're relative paths. And look at that. The most basic of Raylib examples done in Zig. Written manually in Zig, just so I get the muscle memory for it. But God, I didn't realize how hard it is to write a language without having a language server running. AKA how much I'm dependent on having how dependent I am on having, what's it called? Code completion, yeah. Code completion, pretty sick. So what's the difference between metadata and my config data? I'm looking at this once again, and these things look very similar. Load from JSON, get as JSON. Data points, probably don't. Each field in the saved JSON must follow this format. So am I using this? In a lot of places, I am using this in a few places. Oh, good. That's how you know I'm an expert. Even basic completion without a language server is crucial. Programming languages are repetitive as heck. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Absolutely brutal. I was very tempted to just give up, but I think I can do it. I think I can do it. I mean, that's pretty much how I have to write Go code at work, so it's something I'm very familiar with, unfortunately. Let's see. So this should be the user data directory. Actually, yeah, this should just be the regular user data directory. That's fine. Or, all right, hold on. We'll create an export folder. I do like doing this pattern, which is having either storing things in your user data directory, which I think on Linux is local share Godot, or just storing things in your export directory. Yeah, that's fine. JSON util is not declared in the current scope. That's fine. Get as dictionary. That's fine, I guess. I don't need JSON util. Would be nice to have, though. Alright. I suppose if I just make this really... That's probably okay. I'm not a huge fan of this though. I'm trying to remember, how did I make this work? So for I and get property list, and then we don't do any of these. We create a new data point, and then Yeah. Matching the data type, and if it's a dictionary, then we do the same thing. And then we can also guarantee that each dictionary is only nested once, which make things easy. High value. Yeah. We only need to transform things of type dictionary. Yeah. Okay, so if data points data type equals type dictionary, just to slightly clean this up, we can do this. Then we'll get rid of this part. Hooray. Okay. Then this is load from JSON. You can also just once again guarantee that I will not be working with any transforms or colors. Okay, that's probably fine. Should probably just do this again, I guess. So if int data point type key is equal to type dictionary. Grab this stuff. Yeah, I feel like the more Rust I write, the more I kind of like how it works in some ways. I think it is a bit too verbose for me to use it for a lot of stuff. I think there's definitely things that Go does a lot better than Rust. For example, message channels, 10 out of 10 in Golang. Rust, it's kind of a pain. Kind of a huge pain. So I think if you ever need to run things on like pass messages between threads, Go is definitely a lot better. What is a systems language? Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true. You know, OMG, so true. You need non-systems Rust-like language? Yes. Basically Rust, but like even higher level. Or not even higher level, just regular higher level. What would actually fill that void? I'm not sure. Like, I like how Rust feels, I just wish it like did a bit more for me. I think at that point you're probably like talking about Java, right? Optional, garbage collecting, green threading. I mean, pretty much like I guess once you go up like one step up from Rust, you're pretty much at like, yeah, I mean that's like Java or C#, and without, of course those have like actual garbage collectors, but what are you gonna do, right? Go level, but with all the nice stuff from Rust. That's also true. But I think Go is pretty different from Rust, right? Like when I write Go, it more feels like I'm kind of writing like a lower level Python. That's how Go feels to me, is like it does a lot for you and then also like requires you to write things in a certain way. Which is kind of how Python works. Strict scripting language, maybe. Well, Python's a good way to describe it. Aren't there like there's like a lot of languages for Rust, right? Like there's, I think, Rune, Rust. Yeah, that's one of them. I'm not sure how strict Rune is though. Are you familiar with this one? I've looked at pretty much all the big Rust languages. all those are regular scripting languages. Aren't some of them? I know Rune is all completely interpreted, but there are some AOT ones, right? Almost all of them are dynamically typed. Is Rune dynamically typed? I don't remember. Yeah, I guess Rune is. That's the only one I could remember, though. Fair enough. I cannot come up with a better one. Current config. Not meant for big programs, just for scripting. Yeah, well, I would think, right? Like if it's already written in Rust, all you need to do is, you know, and I say all you need to do as if it was easy, but you know, just add in static type checking. Static type checking. Does this thing not exist? Config path. I like Rust enough that I don't mind using it for pretty much everything. You use Crystal? I have tried Crystal. Didn't look into it too much. I set up an Echo server and that was pretty much it. And I was like, oh, that's neat. I think like out of all the scripting languages, Ruby is just syntax I just cannot get behind. I just really do not like Ruby syntax. People complain about verbosity too much. Yeah, I don't mind verbosity. As long as it's like not needless verbosity. If it's like, you know, you have a lot of setup stuff, that's okay. But that's also coming from a Java programmer, so it's something that I'm very familiar with. There's a lot of boilerplate. What would I want to have? So this is like var templates folder. No, I mean we'll need to have a templates folder, and so this will be or templates path, I suppose. Templates. No. Var templates dictionary. So this will be one of our many dictionaries. Oh, and this might be a dictionary of dictionaries. Ruby's pretty out there. I'm gonna head off. Take care. Yeah. Thanks for checking in, Knock. And once again, thank you very much for the tier 2 subscription. Take it easy. Var templates. Suppose I could just do this as another class, and that'll make it easy. Yeah, that could work. Don't really need data. Data point does let me know how I'm supposed to read the value, though. Right? Actually, how am I reading this data? I suppose it just gets parsed. Load from dictionary. Yeah, I don't even use the other part. I just kind of set things directly. Yeah? Seems all right. Templates, though. Let me see. So given this, if you go to your templates folder, or your plugins folder, templates are plugins, it doesn't matter. What you would want to see is probably like oh yeah, so most plugins generally have, usually have let me see if I can find it. A plugin dot config. Yeah, so if you have a plugin.config, we'll just try to read that. Yeah, so this is what a plugin.config might look like. So I could split this entire thing via... Yeah, we'll just do like some string manipulation. We'll split it line by new lines. If those exist, then we'll fill them in. Otherwise, it's like a not plugin, but just something that exists inside of your add-ons folder, I guess. I think that makes sense. Okay. Might be nice to lazily load these as well. Well, no. Templates. And then you have your like a var plugins for dictionary, or for your actual plugins, right? That's tough. And actually, this should probably still be a match statement as well, right? So we do like match data point data type. So match against like type dictionary, which works as you would expect, but then type array, which is slightly different. No. I mean, let's think about it. Let's think about it. The hardest part about any of this stuff is always just the config stuff. Or at the very least, we can just wait on it as well. So let's load in the config manager here. So on ready, var config manager. Config manager should be a reference. Yeah, so that's fine. So I think plugins, let's look at that. Doesn't really help. Doesn't really help. Let's just clear the inheritance for all of these as well. I feel like the inheritance structure that I'm using is just kind of strange and very limiting. Yeah. Or maybe it's not, and I should actually be following the same inheritance structure for every single page, or as much as possible. So projects, plugins, and templates should all roughly look the same. Yeah, I'm starting to get second thoughts. I'm starting to have second thoughts about how to do this. Yeah, okay. So config view. Config view is almost certainly not going to inherit from this stuff. Top scroll. Actually, like all of these are, yeah. You know what? Clear all the inheritance. We don't need it. Inheritance is for nerds. But let's go templates. So these will all be just segregated out by folder. Yeah. And then the logic will all be roughly the same, but not exactly the same. So yeah, we'll just do this manually. Boom. And then slap this in here. So these are all pretty much the same, except config view won't have these buttons. And in a similar way, plugin view will not have these buttons. Let's see, these margins are actually like positively tiny. Templates doesn't have a view yet. Plugins does, so we'll inherit from you. Clear the inheritance. Or we'll get around to it, right? So this is templates view. Give that a save. Templates view. Clear the inheritance. That's pretty much all we need, right? Then we'll just need like an import button. Like imports and then like delete. Config, that's a bit tougher. Could possibly be like an import whatever kind of thing. Right, templates view. What is this? This is plugins view. Do these all inherit from base view? They do, but I think I changed that because it's not necessarily correct. Panel, container. So templates, yeah. That should be fine. This one. Yeah, let's just make them all separate. Even though they all pretty much have the same layout, unfortunately. Or actually, now that nothing is inheriting from these, we can now go back, open up this, base view, no buttons. All right, hold on. We're doing some 5-head stuff here. Base view. This is incorrect, but we just need to do this, which is to say, grab these values, slap them into here, go back to project view. These are all like yeah, pretty much everything here is what we want. Okay. Then if we wanted to save these buttons, we'll grab these, go into a new temporary scene, slap them into here. Don't save that. 100% do not save that. And then close projects view. Create a new inherited thingy. Call this one projects view. Give it a save. Projects view. Overwrite. Then we'll grab all of these buttons here, slap them into here, load, and I think that should be fine. Hopefully that loaded in properly. How is he so good? So it looks incorrect for now, but that's okay. Plugins view will need to be the same, except there's nothing in there to really change, right? It's really just base view. We'll do this, plugins view. Close that just in case. Plugins view, there's no script attached to it. Yeah, there we go. Then templates view will need to work the same way. So all of these use roughly the same layout. I think config view as well. Yeah, config view. I'm not really sure what's going to be on the side here. Maybe just like, well, config view we can keep separate. So config view and then like about can all be separate stuff. That's okay. So just a small refactor here. Extends margin container. Some margin container. Project view. It's a panel container. Oh, are these all wrong? No? Panel container. Where was the error? Projects view? Margin container. So this should be panel container. Actually, looking at these should probably be margin containers, huh? Yeah, so this should be a margin container. So does that change everything else? I don't think so. This needs to extend base view. Oh no. Oh, and then these all just exist. Project item, no. Plugins view. This should extend base view. And then templates as well should just extend base view. Just keep running it until it works. There we go. So these should all roughly look the same. The templates view, did I not update that? Am I stupid? I might be stupid. Hard to say. Maybe I just didn't update it here. Oh, I just didn't add it. Yeah, that will do it. Templates view. Yeah, there we go. So now these all have something here, except for config, which is still a bit strange. Yeah, config needs to change really quick. Boom, boom. This needs to be a margin container as well. Look at that. But that's just its own separate container. Yeah, okay, cool. So you have your plugins, your templates. Should probably rearrange that. Yeah, so project, templates, plugins, config, and then about. And then all of this stuff kind of auto loads in. Let's see, import. I'll need to create an element for, like a pop-up element, right? For when the import button is clicked. So let's see. Don't need any of this anymore, I think. We can always try that out. So I'm able to, yeah, okay. I'm able to double click and open this. Let me close it. Thank you very much for the follow, anonymous viewer. Much appreciated. Yeah. What I'm working on is I'm not working on this yet because the jam hasn't started, but I'm working on a tool for all the add-ons that may or may not be created during this jam. And I'm also planning on participating in this jam as well. So that's what I'm working on. What I'm actually planning on working on for this add-on jam is just a pixel art editor for an in-editor pixel art thingy. So there used to exist one, like for Godot 2, I think. Like a really old version of Godot, but hasn't been maintained. So there is like a really popular pixel art editor, Pixelorama, but that is very complicated and probably would not work too well inside of the editor. So I think I can probably throw something together pretty quickly, since there's, you know, people have already done this stuff before as well. Alright, so boom boom on import. Yeah, let's do this. So on import, both of these need to create pop-ups, similar to how I think the regular Godot launcher does it. I think the Godot launcher, it does it in, yeah, it does it all in just as a sub window. It's not even a separate window. Okay, so we can just keep this open over here on my other monitor. I'll just use this as a reference. Not too difficult, not too difficult. Let's see, what would this look like? This is like a pop-up. It's like a file. No, this is a What's the difference between a pop-up dialog and a window dialog? I think it's I think I need a window dialog. Maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the difference is. So what the heck does this look like? A window dialog. Ah, okay. It's ugly. That's what it is. So this is new project pop-up. Right. And then I would want this to be like, we'll just ape whatever the current one is doing. So I still have this open on my other monitor. Oh, where'd you go? Resizable, yeah, why not? Make it resizable, it doesn't matter. And then once it pops up, that's when it starts getting kind of tough. The projects, we'll call this new project pop up. Always nice just to have it as a separate scene. Now, how do I... It needs to pop up like with the appropriate size, which is always one of the harder things, is that the size needs to be correct. And if you get the size incorrect, it just looks bad. I think this looks like it's a VBox container. So that VBox container needs to be full rect, and then once it pops up, it will pop it up like a, it's like pop-up, it's like pop-up centered ratio, something like that. 0.75, that's not bad. Let's give it a try, actually. It shouldn't be too hard to just pop this up, right? New project pop-up. Go back to projects view. On new, we'll do var pop-up. It's equal to some sort of window dialog, right? We'll load in this stuff. Oop. I've copied the wrong thing here. Instance. Yeah, there we go. Then, I don't know, probably just add child pop-up. I think we'll also need to connect it beforehand. Pop-up, connect. What things do you have? On pop-up, hide. I don't know. Because this isn't an accept dialog, so that's always a bit tougher. Let's see, new. Oh man, that's beautiful. I mean, that's pretty much what the Godot one looks like. I think mine looks better because it has, actually, yeah. I mean, they have like a bolded font for a new project, but that's okay. Cool. So get rid of that. Actually, bring me back. Bring me back. New. If I click off of it, what happens to it? Does it dispose of itself properly? I have a feeling it doesn't. But I don't remember if that's actually how it works. Yeah, okay, so the pop-up is still there. It just is sitting somewhere in the background. So I can create another one, and now we have two pop-ups. So I don't have to be the first to tell you that's probably not a good idea. Alright. Alright, my drink is ready. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab another drink. Hello, hello, I'm back. So let's see. New project pop-up. Let's connect several things. So like on, let's see, like pop-up hide. On hide. We'll just call it like destroy. Like there's several instances where we would want to destroy the pop-up. So this is one of them. So func destroy the story, destroy. Yeah, so this is pretty easy. Like just hit it with a Q free. Pop-up censored. So let's start creating whatever is supposed to show up inside of the pop-up. So looks like it's just a bunch of, well, 1, it's a label, 2, HBox container that contains a text, no, a line edit, plus, oh no, okay. It needs to be like an inner, wait, hold on. This needs to have a margin. Let's give this a margin of like 5, 5, 5, 5. It's gonna look kind of bad for a little bit, but let's not worry about it too much. So this should expand. Yeah, this should just expand, and then there's a button at the very end called, well, I don't know. We could, yeah, I'm probably just gonna call it create folder, right? Create folder. That is not bad. And then we'll just duplicate these two. So this is project name, which is, you know, guess what? Calling it project name. This one is going to be project path. Although this is something I've always found kind of confusing. I feel like I'm not a huge fan of like the, you know, the create folder button. I almost never use it, but I know that some people really like it. Yeah, I guess we'll keep it. It's just something I never use. I think I'd rather explicitly create a folder using the browse dialog, as opposed to, you know, just kind of hoping Godot creates the appropriate folder. I much rather, you know, be specific about it. You know what? Now that I've said that, I'm fully convinced. All right. Project name, and then there's project path, and then this button will be called browse as opposed to create folder. Pretty much how I would want to do things, right? Yeah, so this is project path container. Right, boom. There's some sort of messaging dialogue as well, but we'll get around to it. Like this. Do you think that's it's a rich text label, I guess? Under it, and then it's probably like some sort of error with some sort of BB code. What are the various BB codes you can have? How do you use a rich text label again? I always forget. Rich text label. Ha ha ha. Rich text label. BB code text. I don't know. Godot rich text label. BB code enriched text label. So this is what I'm looking at right now. Bum bum bum. Yeah, so this is pretty much just gonna be like something with a color attached to it, right? Yeah. What's the color? Oh, hello, hello. Thank you for the follow, by the way, Dragon Knight Metaverse. How are you doing today? I'm gonna be watching you while you work. Huh. It's alright. I know that some people get a little bit of performance anxiety when they know that somebody is watching, but you know, I suppose I'm kind of a freak. I'm also used to it. It's kind of my job. My pleasure. Oh, thank you, for both our pleasures. Sorry, did I make it weird? Let's see. In the background, I do my thing too. Don't stress. I'm not stressing. Don't worry. It's good practice for me since this is actually what I do for work. Is demos, so that's not actually what I do for work, but you know, it's close enough. Alright, so we need to insert text here somehow. Okay. So given this rich text label, you're good. Don't worry. I know I'm good because I'm still employed. Don't worry. So let's see. Renderer. How was the renderer chosen? Actually, never really checked. So looking at Friendly Potato Project Manager, what does the project Godot look like? Where is the renderer? Ah, okay. Of a company that has a crypto MMORPG in beta at the moment. Is it Sandbox? Is it Mana? Or it's not Mana, it's the Decentraland. Mana is the ticker symbol. I used to work for a crypto company. It's on the... I didn't work for Binance though. Binance Smart Chain? Isn't the Binance Smart Chain just their own like internal token that allows for trading on their platform? So you could trade without the Binance token, but you get cheaper rates if you use it. Isn't that what it is? It's been a while since I've used Binance. DCL is that to interface with dApps on the Binance Smart Chain. This is gas fees. Isn't the Binance token just based off of Ethereum? So you're like a few chains deep, or is the Binance chain completely separate? Yeah. So you're a few chains deep already. Wouldn't it be better just to rewrite in a more modern chain, or are you too far along? Are you too far along and this is what you have to use? I understand the plights of the software developer. GL3, and then this is going to be GL2. Yes, GP is fast. You're too far along. Solana is pretty big. Yeah, Polkadot's also. Yeah, Solana and Polkadot are like the new chains. Like that's like the whatchamacallit? Just the new ones. Well, Ethereum is version 1. Generation 1. Thoughts on AVAX? I'm not familiar with AVAX. What is AVAX? Is AVAX Avagachi? I don't think that's it, because Avagachi is for NFTs. What is AVAX? Oh, Avalanche. Avalanche. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Avalanche. No. No thoughts. No thoughts. No, I've written a few dApps for Ethereum before. I thought it was pretty clunky. Haven't really played with too many dApps afterwards though, because that was after the. That was after like the advent of CryptoKitties. So we're talking about like we're talking about crypto history. And also, like, surprisingly enough, like, aren't CryptoKitties like way back in like 2017, 2018 when those came out? No one was calling them like the nice fancy no one was calling them the nice fancy like, oh, these are NFTs, non-fungible tokens. But weren't CryptoKitties like technically the first? Yeah, that's a while back. Yeah, but that's when I wrote my first dApp. I didn't deploy it to the mainnet. I deployed it to the Ropstrom something. It's R something. I think it's Ropstrom, because that's for pretty much free. Pretty much all it did was like, you sent in some, you know, the Ropstrom nets, Ethereum, and be like, hey, this is your name, and then this is your thing that we stored it on. Here's your hash. Oh, that's sick. But I'm also not going to deploy this on the mainnet because that's going to cost me like $5, and I don't want to just burn $5. But now it costs like a pretty decent chunk of money to deploy to the mainnet now, doesn't it? I haven't really looked into it too much. dApps aren't too hard to make though. As long as you're familiar with Go, it's not too bad. Although for any of the older chains, I guess it's just too expensive. We have devs in our team, but I'm not a dev. Does that mean that you're more of like an artist or like a designer or what? Not recommended for marketing and game concepts. Well, here's the good news, is that programming is almost no math. So if you are good at English, which I suppose if you're in marketing you must have some command of English, programming is well within your wheelhouse. Right? Like I didn't go to school for programming technically. Went to school for business and IT management, which is sounds like a lot of BS, and it was a lot of BS. And that's kind of how I went into consulting, because that's kind of, or that is 100% what it sets you up for. But then I went into the more technical side afterwards, because, you know, as much as I like putting together slide decks, I'd rather not. Really rather not put together slide decks for the rest of my life. You know, sucking up to people at business stuff. Oh, wow, your product is so cool. Whatever. I don't know. Alright, so this is what it should look like. But yeah, programming is just a lot of putting stuff together. It's a lot of, why does this look so bad? It's a lot of English. It's a lot of just knowing how things fit together. So, almost no math. You know. But once you wrap your head around like what things you need to look at and what things you don't need to look at. So like, when I look at this, I don't read most of it. It's like when I don't know, this might be like a me thing, but like when I read like a normal English sentence, I don't read most of it either. Like I'll scan through it like twice. Once for like, just because I'll pick out the nouns, the verbs. And if I don't get it again, then I'll actually read it. So most of the time, most sentences I don't actually need to read. And that's why I'm not in research, so. Because research usually requires that you don't like skip too many steps, which is kind of what I do. Let's see. Why does this not display correctly? So push in new. These don't display correctly. So is this... Did I do something wrong here? So that's shrink center. That should be okay. Then these... I guess you should also just all expand. Maybe that was the problem. Made game music. It's simple. I like it. Very nice. What'd you make it in? Or did you just like record it yourself? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Did I do this on the... Oh, I did do this on the wrong layer. No, I did not do this on the wrong layer. Okay. Now I'm a little confused. We expand. That shouldn't make a difference. Yeah. So comparing these two, there's quite a big difference between the two things, as you may have noticed. I think these are not supposed to be... I think these are supposed to be check boxes, not check buttons. I use some sound fonts in LMMS. Oh baby, sound fonts. What's a sound font? I'm not familiar with that idea. Is a sound font like a VST? It's only 1 inch from the sound font. What the heck is a sound font? I feel like that's something I should know, but I'm not familiar with. Sound font. Still don't really understand. Is this a VST or no? Oh, this is like a sound font. What the heck? Yeah, this is like really old. Why are you using a sound font? Why are you using a sound font instead of a VST? Yeah. I guess if you're into like retro software, yeah. Like yeah, it looks like a VST. It just is different. SF2, whatever. A lot of people use them. I don't know about that. Pretty much everything I've seen recently that is like from the past 10 years is all VST stuff, right? If you want high quality things, you would usually use a VST. Like I bought a pretty beefy VST, and most things are available as VSTs. It's just like, I don't know, is this like a flash thing for you as well? You just like using old tech? I get it. It's a bit weird, but you do you. It's not really my thing. Alright, expand. These shouldn't need to expand. These should all just work. Yeah, so these don't even need to like fill, right? I'm using PC98 sound font. Well, yeah, see, there we go. Is that you're... Okay, that makes more sense. Is that you're deliberately emulating old tech. Okay, sure. I get it, I guess. Warning label. Why isn't this displaying right? So this is actually displaying even worse now. So I don't understand how that's happening. Toby Fox uses sound fonts. Just because your favorite streamer or favorite game developer uses old technology doesn't mean that you should, right? Like, you know, Terraria and what's it called? Stardew Valley were made using XNA, but you should not be using XNA in the modern era. There's just absolutely no reason to. And for good reason, is because those things are just not supported anymore. No one uses them. The only reason why you would still use old tech is if it's because like you're more comfortable with that, right? If you're more comfortable using like really old technology, then yeah, sure, why not? Why did these display so poorly? This is bizarre. Or, alright, we can do it this way. We can do it this way, that's alright. I think I know what's causing this. It's because the actual Godot one just uses like straight like labels, which is weird. I just choose sound fonts because I wanna. See, that's, I don't know. I think that there's a time and place for using like older versions of things, right? So if you need like the most stability possible, I mean, that's why people still use Java. That's why people still create new projects in Java, is one, they have people that know how to write Java, and two, like you'll know how it works. You know that it will work. It's battle tested, but yeah, I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, you write your own stuff, right? Just know that you'll be obsolete in a few years, which is something to keep in mind. Like, there's no, I can't think of a good reason if you are a new programmer or a new like music producer to use a sound fonts. They're useful with some fonts are from games, so they aren't the best quality. You know, you could just like reproduce them in like a VST, right? Yeah. No. Like I think I know a few people from my high school who are like really into like retro computing, and it just boggles my mind. I'm like, why? You spend all your paychecks on just buying like Apple IIs and like Commodore 64s and whatnot. It's just like, I guess it's cool. Like it's historical, right? It's like, this is how things used to work, but like, why? Like, why? If it brings you happiness, you know, more power to you. But is it a valuable skill? Absolutely not. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing. Weird how text edits don't space themselves properly. Yeah. So align center, that should be okay now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of ugly, but that's all right. That one, now I'll need to set up the, now I'll need to set up the button groups. So var button group, button group. I think I can just create a new one since this is just a resource, right? And then I'll add this checkbox to the button group. Let's see, so it's button group add to, no, button, is it group? Group is button group. I think that's how that works. Group. Yeah, that's probably it. Oh, hello. How are you doing? I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Rakanu Spectra. Sorry. Rakanu. What I am working on is, well, one, hold on. This jam is starting tomorrow, which is the Godot add-on jam. What I am planning on working on is a editor plugin for just editing pixel art in editor, because I am also working on a game in parallel, so I have 4 things going on right now. So I would like to be able to edit this just in the editor, kind of like how you can do with Game Maker, but so Godot technically supports that, and it used to have a plugin for it, but it's no longer maintained, and I don't think it works in 3x. 3.4, 3.x, any 3.0 version. But I'm not working on the Pixlr editor just yet. I I'm just working on a project manager so that it will allow you to create projects according to a certain like template. So you'll have like certain files preloaded for you, and then also preload in the plugins for you as well. Because right now, if you want to do that, you have to do that all manually. Are you doing this for the job or for fun? It's just for fun. I already have a job. I already have a job. It pays well. You know, I think it's definitely a mistake, I think, to go into game dev looking for money. I think if you get lucky, then, you know, guess what? You got lucky. Congratulations. You know, but you should not go into it expecting that to happen. And if you work for like a big, you know, big corporation, then you're probably in for a bad time. Yeah, so I work as a consultant, software consultant for a big open source company. This is pretty much what I do during my day job, which is just talking. talking about code, displaying code, giving demos, etc. So that's what I'm pretty good at. And also just, you know, regular programming in general. But, you know, my free time, I'd rather not work on like infrastructure automation or container automation, all that weird stuff. It does pay well though. You know, the new project is starting to ramp up. Officially starts, actually I probably shouldn't say the start date, but it's starting soon, and it's working with like containers on mainframes. So if you know anything about containers, those are two things that are completely separate. I want to try to discontinued low and sound module. I love the instruments in it. I want to try them in my own music. It's kind of retro thing around early 2000s. Discontinue roll and sound module. Well, roll and sound stuff, that's MIDI, isn't it? That goes over MIDI connection. Like I've done that before as well. Like I have a MIDI thingy. I have a MIDI thing that just sends in MIDI stuff, and it comes with a preloaded sound bank as well. I don't usually use it. I much prefer, because it doesn't have weighted keys. That's what gets me the most about like fake instruments, I suppose, is that they don't have real keys attached to them. Because, you know, I'm trained on, I suppose, real instruments. Oh, look at that. He's done it. So this is pretty much what I'm doing right now, is I'm just recreating the built-in project manager. So local projects, that's going to be the same, but new is going to have a few more options attached to it. And who knows, you could just make a game that has B text only. That is text only, and it could sell for millions. Yeah, you could. I mean, it's unlikely, right? You would have to get really lucky, get the right people to play your game, etc. It's gonna be tough, but you know, if you wanna play the lottery, don't let me stop you. Man, you know, as the saying goes, I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. Is that a saying or is that an idiom? I don't think I was born at night. I think I was born at like 6 in the morning. My first typical, I want to save for a little MIDI keyboard if I can, or just use my keyboard. Playing using your actual keyboard is painful. I guess it's not so bad if you don't know how to play piano. I went AFK for phone call. BR bad. Don't worry. I'm comfortable just talking to myself. Makes me sound like kind of a crazy person for sure. But, you know, that's streaming for you, right? Actually, what does the Godot create dialogue look like? New project. Okay, so create an edit. I need the last 2 buttons. All right. Oh, and then also I need to do scroll. I need to put all of this within a scroll container. Wait. Yeah. All this goes into a scroll container. This scroll container, this is probably the hardest part about Godot, or learning Godot, is that you need to basically force yourself to think in Godot terms when you're talking about UI elements. Because, I don't know, I feel like most people, when they learn UI stuff, they learn it in HTML. Which is, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. HTML plus CSS, not bad. Fairly flexible, etc., etc. Does this not... Ooh? Okay. And then this stuff should just expand. Oh, that looks horrible. Oh, that looks really bad. We'll probably get one though. I don't know. As someone who thought having a MIDI controller would help, let me tell you, I don't know. Like, do you know how to play an instrument right now? do you know how to play the piano? If you do, it depends for a lot of people. Like, I don't really listen to the instrument when I'm playing. I kind of just feel it, as unintuitive as that sounds. So these don't go all the way. It's raining outside. You know, it was raining outside here as well for a little bit. Not anymore. Alright, there's a way to do this. Is it this one? No. God, Godot UI flags are tough. I feel like I don't need to do any of these options. It just needs to have a margin, and then everything else... Or what if I just pop up regularly? Is there like just a regular pop-up? And then what happens? Oh, it just pops up like it's like a really small thing. Okay. I really want to learn the trumpet. Must be nice. I'm not able to actually play any wind instrument. My lungs are just absolutely destroyed. Like if I could, I wanted to learn the I wanted to play the clarinet or the, what's the one? It's the, that's the saxophone. Yeah, like alto sax, tenor sax, that would be pretty sick. But I'm not able to breathe hard enough. So I ended up learning violin, viola, and cello. Started on viola, went to violin. Those are pretty much the same instrument, and then just kind of taught myself cello. Mexican song with my trumpet. What? You want to be in like a mariachi band? It's a very specific type of music. But I suppose you can if you want. Let's see. I think that's okay. Does that mean everything else needs to be... Or does everything else just have margins attached to it? I don't think they should have margins. Like, they should have their... Oh, okay. Nice. Cool. I don't know what I changed. What did I change? Oh, it was just the VBox container. Okay, cool. No, trumpet's cool. I like the... I played with trumpeteers before. They're neat. I like it when they play with a mute. That's my favorite part. Or any instrument playing with a mute is pretty neat. Like violins or most string instruments also have a mute. Did you know pianos also have like a toe mute? So like like on a real piano, they usually have 3 pedals. The rightmost pedal is the whatchamacallit, the sustain pedal. I think the far left one is the mute, and the middle one is like lower mute, I think. Which is always kind of weird. Oh, hello, Rogue Nation. Hello, hello. I want to say my little song I made. I can't. You need to compress it and then also export it as either an MP3 OGG, not as a FLAC. FLAC is too big. Check it out. This is what I'm making so far. So this looks a lot like the Godot project manager, but it's not. Look at that. So it does just work as like a project manager, but what I'm doing is I am making... Oh, I've messed this up already. VBox. We need to have another VBox container. What I'm making is something to set me up for the Godot add-on jam. So I'm not working on the Godot add-on just yet. My add-on that I'm planning on working on is a Pixlr editor built into the editor. But what I'm working on right now is just like an external project manager that will allow you to open projects with multiple Godot versions, create new projects with, you know, a certain template and certain plugins pre-enabled, or at least pre-installed, and then you just have to enable them yourself, I suppose. So I'm just trying to emulate the current functionality right now. Sent it on in the Discord. We'll listen to it afterwards, I suppose. It's a WAV. It's an intro WAV.mp3. Good job. I think if you want something to be playing in your games, you either want it to be a WAV or a FLAC file. Or I think OGG is okay, but MP3 is probably one of the worst ones, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think WAV is also one of the bigger ones as well, which is the problem. MP3, easy to send over the radio. Then I put it as an MP3. Did you mean that you just changed the file format to MP3? You didn't actually re-export it? That's not how that works. That's not really how it works. Or did you load it into like Audacity? So if you're not already using Audacity for audio stuff, I recommend it. So Audacity, you can load in things and then export them. Like I know Audacity got into a lot of hot water someone recently, but I don't know. I mean, it still works. I re-exported it. You re-exported it under a different name though. Okay, sure. Or under the same name with a different file format, sure. That will definitely make Godot more beginner friendly and more competitive with GDevelop 5. I don't know if what I'm doing is more beginner friendly. I think it's just more of a convenience tool. I think if you want things to be beginner friendly, you actually need to railroad people into doing things a certain way. Otherwise, people will get nervous. I don't know how this works. There's too many options, you know. I think a lot of people have, it's not performance anxiety. What's it called? It's choice and anxiety. They get nervous when they're given too many choices. So they don't know what to do with themselves. Oh no, I've broken it. Ooh, not this one. Okay, hold on. I keep changing the node layout, so my layout keeps breaking as well. Went back to LMS and re-exported as MP3. No, I kept WAV. It's probably because you clicked on the same file. If you click on the same file, I'm assuming LMMS will assume that you want to try to overwrite the file, but because the original file was named, you know, whatever WAV, I was like, oh, well, we can't really overwrite in place, so we'll just append MP3 to the end of it. Like maybe you want to have a dot in your file name. That's technically valid on whatever you call it. All OSs. Yeah. even Windows uses dot files. Like dot files are pretty common on Linux for configuration. I don't use dot files, but I don't usually use dot files in on Windows, but used pretty commonly. All right, so how did this look? We're just copying. New project, create and edit. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's create and edit. Button 2, so it'll be cancel. Was it cancel? It was cancel. Oh baby. New. How do I get there? How do I make a space between these two? I can theme override, I suppose, and then we'll add, I don't know, like 10. I don't know, like 20. See how that feels. Try it on for size. It looks about the same. Hit it with a 50. I feel like that looks kind of wrong. But maybe I'm weird. Huh. Oh, you know what? They're probably using let's not override any of this stuff. We can instead have the buttons shrink center and then also fill. And then this one is shrink center. So that should shrink them to the center. Nope. Is that not how fill works? Turn off fill. How about privacy? See, Audacity breaks out after loading second time in Linux, so I have to reinstall both Linux with ALSA and Audacity just to reuse it. I use it. Shortcut for editing, only use Audacity for recording. Yeah, I know there was the privacy thing. I don't really know about the Linux stuff. As long as they're using a standard distribution, you should usually be fine. I think if you are using something like one of the Arch-derived distributions, you should be used to the things breaking. Why don't these work appropriately? Maybe if I expand, like so? No. Huh. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. This one, size flags, expand. New. No? Isn't that how these work? Is that you would want them to work like so? I feel like I'm losing my mind here. Like pretty much everything you would want to... This just looks wrong. Like these look like they should be center aligned, and then, but it's not. How does that happen? Reinstall system? Yeah. I suspect usually in cases like this, especially if you're on a stable distro, so I'm assuming that you're on... Fedora isn't really stable, but Ubuntu is usually considered pretty stable. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. You know, I think if you're using like Gen 2 Linux from scratch, you might run into more problems. But fortunately, I don't do those. Let's see, shrink center. Oh no, these should just be center align. Then this one should probably be center. Yeah, you should all be center aligned. I don't think the buttons have an alignment setting. Yeah, that looks slightly better. That looks slightly better. A little jank. But why is this not aligned at the bottom? That's tough. Use Ubuntu installed from FlatHub instead of from the original site. Should I upload the test GLB model I used to test OSG to your Discord? I don't know, like does it Is there a problem, I guess? By the way, if you want to join a Discord, pretty much everything I work on is free and open source, so there's a Discord. Like I wrote this thing, what Rogue Nation is referring to is this program here that I wrote. OpenCPage GD available on my GitHub. Check it out. One of those. But I'm not sure. Like, is there a problem with your model? If there's no problem, then I don't really need to see it, I guess. If there's something that you want added to it, then I don't know, if you could provide like a specification. Like I think you mentioned that it was a make human. It loads, but it doesn't animate. Well, there's a few things that you would need to change. So I'm assuming that you're not loading in a VRM model. If it's a make human model, you'll need to change the head bone to be whatever the head bone is, you know, set to. So if I know the file format, then I can actually try to do it for you. So that's why I chose to support VRM, is because VRM is well, yeah, it's a .glb, right? I only support GLB models, packed Godot text scenes, and that's pretty much it. And VRM, but VRM is also like a GLB, right? So GLB is VRM. VRM is just an extension of GLB. So GLB is GLTF, but I don't support GLTF. GLTF is not a single file, but that's besides the point. What you'll need to do is that you'll need to manually specify which bone is the head bone. If your model doesn't have bones, then I guess that's your first problem, is that you'll need to rig your model, right? Because models only move, 3D models only move if you have defined bones for your model, right? Because a 3D model is just a bunch of 3D points, and then the bones are actually mapped to every single point that defines how they should deform. It has a lot of bones. Well, yeah, then you just need to set the head bone, and then it should be fine, right? I don't know what the head bone is. Like, you could send it, but it would be the same stuff. It would just be me doing it for you, right? Someone is going to need to figure out which bone is called the head bone. On most models, they're usually just called a head. I don't know why you would not, you know, call your head bone the head bone. Like, I think this one has a head bone as well. Yeah, like this one has a bone that's literally called head, right? And then also has bones called neck, chest, spine, ear 1 left, ear 2 left, ear 3 left, etc., right? So you'll just need to find it. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. We'll just make the assumption that this is the bone that you want to animate. So if I still had my tank model on this PC, like I could demonstrate, like I could change like this head bone to be like the turret, and then like, you know, then I would be animating the tank with my head, right? Like that's pretty cool in my opinion. That's pretty cool. Also, I'm still trying to figure this out. Shrink center. Alignment of the container's children must be one of these. So now we're still shrinking center, but if we do this, then they'll all fall this way. Huh. But then I guess they should just expand and then shrink center. Aha, he's done it by accident. All right. Just clicked a lot of buttons and made it work. All right. So these buttons don't do anything, but that's pretty much exactly what you would expect from this. I guess this one looks a bit more, has a bit more kick to it because it's more compressed. But also, I don't think that their stuff. Oh, actually, my stuff also doesn't auto resize. I can change that. We can change that. Does this one? Hold on. Maybe back to new project. If you squish it, yeah. See, I think my stuff squishes. No, My stuff does not squish appropriately. That's unfortunate. I thought it would. We can try. It's resizable, so I guess you can manually squish it if you want. Like that. Yeah, I could do something like that, yeah. Interesting. Let's add the rest of the options. So that's pretty much all I needed from the built-in stuff. Let's see. The rest. Project path container, don't need any of that. Actually, we'll need that. So when you click on create and edit, create, edit. Okay, it's up, nice. Oh God, I got the hiccups again. I've been doing too much inwards breathing. All right, I'm gonna hold my breath for 30 seconds. Just so I stop hiccuping. All right, that was not 30 seconds, but I think the hiccups have stopped. Or at least I no longer feel the urge to hiccup anymore, so hopefully that's all right. Let's see. We're caching these buttons because I'll need to access them later. Or at least I'll need to edit them later, so like if you do not have a valid system path set, you should not be able to click the create edit button. On create edit and then cancel connect, can't type, self, and then on cancel. So on cancel, it's pretty easy. Actually, on cancel, we can just call like destroy. Easy. Destroy. Yeah, and we can also just rename this to just you know, queue free, right? Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to in Godot 4. Or yeah, Godot 4 and like GDScript 2.0 is the fact that you have access to Lambda expressions, which is basically just like, it's a mini function that you define in one place. As opposed to, well, in this case, you would actually want to have this wrapper function, but usually you would use a Lambda for just like, you know, connect requires a function to link against, but you know, all you're linking against is just calling this one line queue free, this built-in function. So that's what a Lambda would be used for. Let's see, on create edit. Let's see, so there's a few things that we'll want. So click on new, cancel should kill it. Click on new, clicking out of it should kill it. I'm not sure if that's actually true. It looks like it's actually true, yeah. So if we click on new, I always get kind of nervous. Okay, cool. So clicking out of it also kills it, that's good. I almost cured a streamer's hiccup by surprise calling them in Discord. I can't seem to do that since your privacy setting is such. Yeah, well, not really into people just randomly calling me. You know, if I don't pick up like my actual cell phone when people call me, there's no way I'm just responding to a random Discord call. Sorry. Yeah, I've actually missed a fair amount of phone calls, but it's like, I'm a millennial, man. I don't do phone calls. Please text me instead. create edit. All right, so we'll need to have access to the line edit. So this is the project line edit, I think. And then this is the project path line edit. Don't actually need to rename these. Like, I could just keep them as line edit, but it just helps me keep them in order. So this is project name. Some sort of line edit. We'll keep a reference to this. And similarly, var project path, also a line edit. No, geez. Project path line edit. All right. Not the most efficient way, but we got it done. It's meant the startle can totally relate to missed calls. Yeah, well. At least at this time of night, I also have my phone like auto muted, so there's pretty much no way that I'm gonna be surprised. Because I used to just get randomly pinged from Discord, so I've also like turned off all Discord notifications after like 11 p.m. for me. Or as they say in other parts of the world, or in the, you know, the US military, 2300. You might notice that I use 24-hour clock as well. I think here I'll probably want... That's tough. What do you want here? So everything's connected, and then we can just verify that this is able to print by just hitting with an app manager, logger, info, hello, one of those. So there you go. New, doesn't matter what it is. Create an edit, hello. Doesn't do anything. This button doesn't do anything. And then we'll need to add the rest of the options. So there's templates and then plugins. So then we'll add templates. I think I have everything here. So I have these hooked up. Yeah. So that's the GL stuff. Rendering disclaimer. All right, let's add the templates. So templates to use, and then plugins as well. So those should all be like sub lists in and of themselves. I don't have any notifications turned on. I just log into socials and occasionally check if anything went past the filters. Nice. Like, I like having notifications, especially if I'm getting paid for stuff. Which is why it kind of bothers me when some companies are like, no, you have to use your computer if you want to like check your messages. I'm like, but the computer you gave me is so garbage, I'm not able to use it. You know? Alright, hold on. This needs to be a second scroll container. This is turning into like a really big thing. Alright, so this is templates. Scroll container, which contains another VBlocks container. Yeah. So this is like templates container, then these are the actual templates. And similarly, this is going to be the plugins container, and then these are the actual plugins. Yeah. You know what? Now that I'm actually looking at it for realsies, this is actually a pretty good amount of, this is a lot of work. Wow. I'm also not able to see them. That's weird. Am I crazy? Do these just not show up? Huh? Or is it because they are... Oh, it's because they're in like nested scroll containers. Oh yeah, I should not do that. Forgot. Godot doesn't like it when you nest scroll containers inside of other scroll containers. That I forgot. You're not allowed to do that. One of the few gotchas, yeah. Before I got an iPhone back in 2015, I checked my email and Facebook twice a month and only returned calls or no numbers. Yeah, I think I used to pick up more phone calls until like there was like the big spam call inundation that happened sometime like before the pandemic. Like I used to get like a lot of phone calls from like a very like Indian sounding person, I'm being like, hello sir. We're from the, you know, the Atlanta Police Departments. We need to have the 4 digits on the back of your credit card. Actually, the 3 digits on the back of your credit card. Otherwise, we're going to have to fine you $300. I'm like, what? Why? So like, back when I was like someone who had more time, I would actually screw with them. But now I'm like, man, just please, if you're going to like give me a phone call, I'm just not, you need to let me know beforehand, otherwise I'm not gonna pick up. Like, as fun as it is to like mess with like the people that are obviously like spam calling me, it's also like, you know, I have other things to do with my life. Like, maybe if I'm really bored, yeah, but like, eh. That's how to get woken up by Windows tech support scammers. Yeah, well, that's why you gotta, I don't know, like I have an Android phone, right? Like I have a Samsung Galaxy S21. And before, people are like, oh no, Samsung, what an evil company. I mean, one, I have Google Fi, so if I'm already like subscribing to an evil company, might as well double down. But two, they were like, hey, we'll give you an S21 for like $400. I'm like, oh, these are usually like $900. I'll take it. But yeah, like the Google phones, they have like the spam screening, which is really nice. Like it has filtered, it also like filters out Google Voice numbers, which is kind of annoying. Because I know like a weird amount of people that have Google Voice numbers. I don't know why. So they usually get filtered into the spam folder, but you know, that's the price of doing business, baby. Called our home number. You have a home phone? You have a home, like a landline? That's crazy, dude. You should consider sending it to the Smithsonian. That's a fossil. I think like my parents no longer have a home phone. Like I remember, you know, you had the home phone with the wire, and then when I was a kid, I would always just get wrapped up in it because, you know, when you're so small, you just like spin in circles when you talk, or at least when I talk, I tend to spin in circles. I don't know why. Only on the phone though. As you may notice, I'm talking right now, but I'm not like, you know, Doppler effects like that. Not spinning. I'll pick up 5-digit phone numbers. Do you pick up 3-digit phone numbers? For example, 999. Isn't 999 is the UK one, isn't it? I don't know. I don't really I don't really deal with that kind of stuff. I don't live in the UK either. It's templates. Actually, you can map our home line to any SIP and device I connected to an SIP client on my PC. Can you do that? And then scammers that call me with Karen speaking Brooklynese, trip to the Bahamas. Oh baby. My favorite kind of scammers to prank is the ones that I can actually understand, not the ones who like have such a heavy accent I have no idea what they're saying. I don't know. Usually I'm just like, just send me an email, you know. I have better things to do with my time. Smart enough, you know. You got the wrong person. I am below the age of like 60. So like you're not gonna get me. Although that's something I used to believe, but no longer. You know, I think people are just pretty dumb in general. Like, you could tell a lot of people, like, anything. And as long as you provide, like, any source whatsoever, they'll be like, yeah, sounds right to me. So what? What are you talking about? This isn't a source. This is just, like, you know, Boy's Life magazine from, like, 1995. What are you... What? Hardly an authoritative source, but... I suppose that's what happens when no one takes school seriously. If the landline is actually just an IP phone number, then ISP lets you can. Is that how that works? I thought like landlines were like actual like phone cables, right? I suppose like nowadays you could get a landline hooked up to be like over IP, I suppose. Or do they use the same cable? I'm not sure. Isn't that's like a certain type of vulnerability? Like if your phone lines use the same cable as your internet lines, isn't that's like how some people used to be able to get free internet, or like they use the toy box toy to like transmit a certain frequency into the phone lines, and then they were able to like snoop on people's messages. Yeah, that sounds more correct. Right? Like I feel like that used to be a story at some point. I don't remember. Got a lot of things going on. So app manager, so there's the config manager. It's a little bit tough. New project pop-up. So we need to run through every single registered template and then plug in and then add them to, you know, the associated templates and plugins thingy, right? So config manager, I think we're just going to do it in like alphabetical order. Or no, we're not even going to do it in alphabetical order. Well, we don't need to scan every single time. We only need to rescan occasionally. So this doesn't need to be a dictionary. This could just be an you know, an array. So something like that. I think the old phone lines got put to work for DSL over here, but I had to research to double check. I don't know. I don't know anything about like phone stuff. But all I know is that there are lines. I think dial-up also worked over the phone lines as well. I was born after dial-up was kind of a thing, though. It's a little before my time, I should say. I'm familiar with the memes around dial-up where they go, you know? I think my older brother still remembers dial-up, but no, I was more in the time of dedicated internet lines, but we still had like the chunky CRTs. Like, I remember my parents bought me The Sims 3. Maybe this, yeah, it's one of the Sims, I forget. But I couldn't play it because our computer only had like 256 kilobytes of RAM. Which is very strange since my dad is a software engineer. Or no, he's not a software engineer. Software engineer is just a fancy name for like programmer, but he was a computer engineer, which is someone who deals more with hardware. I was like, why don't you have any computers that have RAM? Like, what do you do? And it turns out he only works with embedded, so, you know, eggs on my face. Did use dial-up sort of in 2003. 2003, that's kind of like, isn't that like, it's like really late for dial-up, isn't it? Too young to experience dial-up, too old to start youth with Fortnite. Oh yeah, for sure. I started youth with lots of RuneScape. You remember like old school RuneScape? Or for me, it would just be like regular RuneScape. And then there was MapleStory. Big fan of MapleStory. Old school pre-Big Bang MapleStory. Though I was still playing MapleStory around the time when MapleStory like redid pretty much everything about their stuff. I feel like these things need to be, I don't know. How should I do this? So if you have a project template, that should just be a folder path. Yeah, so this is like a list of folder paths. So it's a list, so we'll store it on the back end as a folder of folders. 2003 dial was still the most common type of connection, was it? I don't know. In 2003, I would have been a little less than 10 years old. So, and when I was a little less than 10 years old, we were not using dial-up. And I know that for sure. Maybe we did have like a professional internet connection, I don't know. Like I know that my dad, after I entered high school, had a static IP address, so we had like a business level connection, whatever. So like the IP address doesn't change. Not really. Cable came to use after the crash of 2007 to regular homes. I had a 1 megabit cable connection in 2001. Was it expensive back then? Oh, you know what? I don't know. I guess that's what you get when you pay for a business line, I suppose. I don't know. Pro connection to static IPs? Yeah. Yeah. I don't pay for static IP. Now I just use DigitalOcean. And I let DigitalOcean handle all the IP routing. Let's see, what do I want? So I think plugins are slightly more complicated. But what I can do is we can just create a second class. We'll call it plugin data, just so I don't conflict with like the built-in plugin stuff. So plugins usually look like, do I have a plugin? I do. So this is what plugins usually look like. So they'll have, and then I do acknowledge that this is pretty fragile. So maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want each plugin to be a dictionary. That's tough. I gotta think about that. At least for Godot 3, it should be pretty static, so this should be all right. Static IP, but it's not sure if it's static. Look at Wikipedia for the definition of landline. Landline is just a phone connected by metal or optical cable. It's a phone line, usually over metal cables, but then they switched over to optical at some point, and that's where you have the optical cable. Metal cables use electrical impulses. Optical cables use like just light impulses, something like that. Is that correct? I don't really remember. Var authors. All these are going to be strings. And I'll write a custom, load and serialize function. Actually, I don't need any of this, right? As long as I just keep a... Yeah, like this could just be a list of like plugin paths as well. What am I doing? I'm making this so complicated. Plugin paths. We don't need this. So templates is a list of strings. Plugins is a list of strings. They're all just paths. And then we can rescan to see if there are many plugins, and then the scanning logic will have to be more complicated at some point. So we don't need data points either, so say goodbye. We can bring it back if I want. So this config system is ripped straight from this config system, but this config system is very complicated, as you might be able to tell. There's a lot of options that you can use. We don't have a landline, we use a DEC device connected to the router. What is a DEC device? What is that? DEC device. Digital enhanced cordless telecommunication? Is that just like a wireless landline? Is that just a wireless landline? Digital European, oh, digital European cordless. Oh, you're European. You're Euro. Very nice. I've only been to London and Barcelona, both for work. And I've been to Frankfurt Airport several times. But that's pretty much the extent of my European stuff. Did you hear my little song? I was shaving my legs and Putting up a face mask? What? What? I guess that's cool. Like, that's cool, I guess. Standard for those cordless phones people had a home before smartphones. Neat. Oh, hello, Catton. Hello, hello. So, for everyone new, this is what I'm doing. I'm writing something for the Godot add-on jam. Oh, actually, I'm not writing something for the Godot add-on jam. I'm writing something for use during the Godot add-on jam. So, this is supposed to be a... Hold on. I think this is gonna break if I run it like immediately, but... No! Hold on. We can just keep commenting things out. This is probably not gonna work. Need to change a lot of things. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? That's probably fine. Alright. So what I'm doing is so this actually does work, right? So this looks a lot like the default Godot project manager, except that you have a few more things. So an about page, templates, plugins, and then configuration. So the idea is that it's closer to, like, I guess how Unity does it. So you can define like a certain Godot version to run a certain project on. Not super useful for a lot of people, but if you have a lot of projects, it could be useful. Also, you can, when you're creating a new project, you'll have the ability to select a custom template to use. So I usually use the same template for all my projects. Although when Godot creates your project, right, it just slaps like 3 files into a folder and calls it okay. So I usually have to run like a script afterwards to populate it. So that's what the templates are for. And then plugins is like, my idea for the Godot add-on jam is a game maker-esque pixel art editor. So that's what I want to write for the jam. However, Godot, when you're creating new projects, you have to manually place plugins into your project every single time. So that's kind of a pain. So that's what this is supposed to do. Is it makes it easier to just instantiate a new project with a given template and then however many plugins you want. Yeah. And then also make it easy for you to, you know, run against multiple Godot versions, I suppose. So that's what we're doing. And then technically we already have it sort of running right now. So just click like that, and then it kicks off the editor. Editor opens the thingy, just like that. So already proven to work how I would want it to work. Now we just need to do the hard part. Like, I know how I would want it to work, I just need to make it. I just need to write it at some point. And if it's not ready in time for the jam, that's alright. But this is something that's I've seen people talk about, but no one's ever written it for some reason, so here we are. So we don't need a data point. We can take out this as well. Don't need a data point. So get as dictionary. Let's see. I guess this is like get as JSON is probably closer. Did you commit before deleting stuff? Oh, absolutely not. I'm a freaking wild card. That's why I always squash most of my commits, which is probably not a great idea, to be honest. Let's see. I mean, we can instantiate a project now. So this is Friendly Potato Project Manager. I don't know why I call most of my tooling. I just call Friendly Potato something. If only because it's such a dope name, isn't it? Thank you, Canton. Much appreciated. All right, so let's copy over. Copy. Live 2D or live 2D test project. So because that was the last thing I was working on. So that one has a pretty good git ignore. And then also the license. Let's copy that over. Are you allowed to do this? Is that how this works? I forget how CP works, but I think you can do that. Yeah, I know things. Made a mess a couple times when I tried to amend after pushing. Oh yeah, that's always tough. That's always tough. I suppose like if you do you use the command line git program, that would make it a lot harder for sure. Make it a lot harder for sure. Get as dictionary. After pushing, just leave it be. No. Just create a branch for every single one of your commits. Therefore, you always have a solid track record. And you know what? The people at my last company before I quit would kind of do that. Like they would, whenever they would make a big change, they would just create a new branch. And so you would just have like, you know, here's your Jira tickets, you know, slash, you know, take 1, take 2, take 3. I was like, please just delete your old branches. Or better yet, just make different commits and then squash them later. Like, you don't need to create a new branch. I don't know what you're doing. How did you get hired here? That's none of my business, I suppose. None of my business. Yeah, I feel like how what's the word I'm looking for? My first job, I suppose, my first project as a consultant, shall we say, was probably the one I learned the most from, because like, one, we were working from Linux boxes, right? Like we were all given a Fedora laptop, or technically we're all given a RHEL laptop, and then we have to use a Windows VDI. And because that VDI can barely even run like Eclipse, because it was a Java shop, we had to save as many resources, system resources as possible. So we just all used like Git Bash. And I was like, all right, well, I kind of know how to use this. Let's go. And then I got really good at using the terminal like that. And now I have like really good Git habits because of that, because it's just so painful to like undo things from the terminal, in my opinion. But maybe that's not true for everybody. Oh, and actually, this should actually be a dictionary. Yeah, what am I doing? This should be like this. Return JSON print, which gives you a string value that will then just kind of like regurgitate into an empty file. We'll write that to a file. This one, for in get property list. Oh, I deleted too much now, I'm very confused. Git commit amend is not that painful, is it? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, like how I do most of my commits is I just commit, and then if I realize I need to amend something, I hit it with a git rebase, or I git log first, just see how many commits I need to go back, and then git rebase, interactive, head, and then how many commits I need to go back. I feel like I've seen git commit amend before, but doesn't that mean like it doesn't work if you've already pushed it? Yeah, so like you pretty much like at that point you might as well just rebase and squash. I don't know. Git's like way too complicated, man. Like Git's really powerful, but it's just over-engineered for what most people need it to do, in my opinion. Let's see. We need to match type of I-value. So if I-value is type array, then we'll do guess it doesn't matter, right? As long as we're just building a dictionary, it doesn't matter. Yeah. What am I doing? Yeah, because these are all arrays, and then we'll just add things when we need to. Yeah. So result I.name is equal to I value. And it's made for the kernel. Yeah, the kernel very complicated. I looked at it. I was like, wow, that's a lot of C code. I don't write C. You really need to modify something to rebase after pushing. Most of the time, it isn't worth the hassle. I think, depending on your development practices, right? Like I don't want to say disturbed, but I am a little bothered by like a lot of commits. Like if you have commits that just say like changes, please do not submit your commit. If your commit says changes, please squash it into the next commit, right? And if you keep squashing until you just hit one commit, then change that one commit's name to whatever the feature you were implementing, right? So you're implementing like better retry logic, but then you have 10 commits. All your commits say changes. Guess what? Squash all your commits. Name the first commits better retry changes. Otherwise, there's just a bunch of garbage you have to sift through. It's like, where's the change? I don't know. Could be literally anything. Let's see. For key in this JSON result. Okay, so this needs a change as well. Load from dictionary, that's probably fine. I should learn Git properly. Yeah, me too. There's too much. Like I only somewhat recently learned how to do Git submodules. Like I even had to document it here because their Git practices were pretty bad. And this is like a raylib test using Zig. By the way, Zig is kind of bad. I like the idea of Zig. Zig is a systems level programming language that has no hidden control flow, which is really cool. But also, there's no language server. There's no stable language server, so it's really painful to use as well. Let's see, JSON results. Data. I think we can get rid of most of this. We don't need this. I'll squash commits sometimes only before pushing. Started a new job and doesn't mean I waited too long? What if you forgot what you changed specifically? Well, usually when you're working on code, you should be working on a branch, right? Well, I mean, if you're working on like an established code base, I suppose. If you're not sure what you changed, you need to figure out what you changed. Like I think early on in a project, if you're below like 5,000, 10,000 lines, it's usually, maybe not. Maybe if you're below 1,000 lines, it's okay to just have like a commit called changes, right? Let's keep amending our story. It's not a to-do, by the way. To-do, probably need more advanced logic here. So a new job in December. I'm working with someone that actually understands Git bisect and uses. That's crazy. I've used Git bisect like twice, and that's one of those things that I just never remember how it works. It's very complicated. Git's very complicated. It's too much for me. Been using Git for 12 years, used it once. Well, I don't know about that. Well, I mean Git bisect, and yes, yeah. Git bisect and Git blame. I've seen those a few times. I've never had to use Git blame. I usually just kind of like, you go through your Bit buckets or your GitLab repository and just look, scrub through the old commits and see if you can find something. All right, but templates and plugins, these are just arrays. Okay, so new project pop up. What we're gonna do is we'll go through app manager, CM, the current config. Templates, yeah, for T in templates. We'll do a thing, and then what we're probably going to do is add a bunch of elements. So this is what we've been very slowly building to. Invalidate index tab was on base nil. That makes sense. Because there is no default config. So let's do cm current config is equal to cm config data new. That's all right. So it should just be an empty element. I said, does it use a comment to commit? I don't really know how. I don't really know how they work. All I know is that I think on my current project, the client asked for like so we were creating a helper tool to help onboard, Ansible playbooks onto the client's own like infrastructure automation. So it's like automation instead of automation instead of automation. It's a very complicated, kind of wasteful project in my opinion, but they're paying good money for it. And they also gave me like a 10 out of 10 on my last my last client rating. So who am I to complain? But they were started asking me, was like, hey, can you make the CLI tool? Can you just integrate with like Git? What's it called? Git Go library. What was it called? Go Git. It's not Git Go, it's Go Git. They wanted me to integrate with Go Git, and I was like, all right, what do you want? And they're like, yeah, we want the ability to pull repositories, commits, and then push. I'm like, wait a minute. This sounds a lot like just regular Git. It's like, yeah, we want you to bundle it. And I was like, this is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But also, like, I understand where you're coming from. Is because at that client, you had to do everything via like the client's own internal like package manager. So it takes about like a day or two to get anything installed. So if you could bundle as many things into other pieces of software as you can, it's considered a plus. And I was like, this sounds like it's just a horrible idea. So at the end of it, we only ever implemented commit. we had the compromise. We're on the kernel for it and wanted to find the associated mailing list entry to find out why things were the way they were. Bachelor thesis. Bachelor thesis. Never heard of those, but maybe it's a European thing. Or maybe it's like just like something that you do in the sciences. I don't work in sciences. I was a business major. I just taught myself Python. And I took 2 Java programming classes. Got more than 100 in both those classes, by the way. Not to brag or anything. Sounds almost like Windows programs. Do Windows programs just bundle other programs inside of them? I mean, like, I guess, like, technically every program, a lot of programs bundle curl, but that's not really what we're talking about. Yeah. You didn't write a thesis or project in your major in the US? Nope. Oh, I mean, I'm a business major, right? So, like, we had, like, a final project, but it wasn't, like, I guess what you were expecting. Like, I like, for my it was MIS, Management Information Systems. For that one, we didn't really do anything. I think we just gave a presentation. For risk management, what we had to do was what do we have to do? We had to go out to a certain business or some business in the college town that we were in, and then write up a like a risk management plan for them. So that was actually like pretty informative about like how things worked and like how broken everything is. Good times. That was a fun one. But no, I didn't really have to do like a hard project. I mean, I guess the actual risk management stuff was really difficult. Because, you had to do like, okay, like what kind of business are you? Like how many square feet is your business? What sector does your business fall into? Are you classified as a small business or like just a regular business? What kind of coverage do you need? What kind of risks do you usually run into? Seems like a lot of BS, but I guess that's why this is why people major in this kind of stuff. Got a B on that project, by the way. Pretty sick. I think that was one of the only classes in risk management that I got like a B in. Everything else I was like a solid C student. Those classes are hard. If only because I like really struggled in like caring about what I was doing. Unfortunately. Oh, this is still running. Let's see. Is that like actual science? I was actually studying actuarial science, but as it turns out, I'm like very bad at like straight numbers. Yeah, like there were 2 prerequisite courses in order to like, or there are 2, well, there were 4 courses that you needed to take in order to get the actual science, I guess, certificates, which would pretty much mean that you were prepared to pass the first 2 exams for, you know, actuary stuff. Exam P and Exam M, I think there are. So Exam P is the math one. Exam M is the management, where I guess like just like the rules and regulation stuff. But no, the Exam P stuff, easy. Or the first half of Exam P stuff, easy. Or not easy, but like I was part of the class. It was like half the class failed it. And then I got a C. Could have got a B if I just had like an extra 30 minutes on one of the exams. You know, sick. Mostly because it's just a bunch of equations, right? Like it was, I've told this story a lot, but it's like, it's basically intro to stat, except you don't get a you only get a 4-function calculator. And like an equation sheet. I was like, all right, this is my jam. I love it. I wish I actually did stats from like the beginning. But then we went on to like time series, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like time series, and you're doing like multiple integrals, but then you need to know how to like how they fit together. I'm like, I just don't know. I don't understand what we're talking about anymore. Because sometimes we use the full year, sometimes we use 2 years divided by some other like value. Like, what are we talking about anymore? So let's see. This should be. Just call this like pop-up item, right? No, this should be. Yeah, this is pop-up item. Then this has a label. I feel like, no, this should be panel container. Everyone loves a good panel container. Panel container. Should probably have a margin, but we'll get around to that. Then HBox container inside of that. Then panel container. No, we don't want to 2 panel containers. It's just, what's it called? Label. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much the story of how I failed out of actuarial science. And still got a job. Consulting. Okay. So, I think that's good. Pop-up item. We'll slap you here, and then the new project pop-up will just use this thing. Pop-up item. Texting, and we can move it around if we need to. Sounds pretty good, I guess. Yeah, well, having any job is pretty good, I'd say. Getting paid. I think, like, especially the job I have now is pretty good. But I think it's like a combination of, like, I'm good at my job, not to brag or anything, but also, like, supervision is, like, pretty bad. And, like, if you compare me against, like, the other consultants that these companies usually hire, you know, there's no competition really. Since really what what a lot of these tech companies, I guess these non-tech companies are paying for when they hire technology consultants, they're paying for confidence, right? And as long as you're able to talk as if you know what you're talking about, you're probably going to be in a pretty good position. IMO, you know, just sound confident. If you ever make a mistake, don't mention it unless they bring it up, and then say, oh, you know what? You have a great point. Yeah, I'd never considered. I didn't consider that until now. Yeah, we'll take that back and then get back to you tomorrow. You know, you gotta flatter them, but don't ever apologize. Oh, my favorite. It's like politics all the way around. Simultaneously flatter them, but also don't ever admit fault. So this is a packed scene. And then we'll preload whatever this heck this is. So that's your item. And then for each one of these config templates, we'll create var item is equal to item instance, and then based off of I think depending on the type of item, we'll either have to have a separate button group. I think for app config templates, you don't need a button group. Yeah. Okay, all right, I think I got it. So we can hard code this to be a check box on the side here, and then we'll just fill expand. Maybe we'll just keep it at the end, that's fine. Yeah. And then depending on whether or not it's a template, so you can only ever have one template applied. Yeah, so there's var template group. New, right? So then we'll do item instance. Oh no, then we need to grab the item instance, which is kind of tough. What is this called? It's called pop-up item. So we'll have the label. We'll expose this. Already var label. I'm learning about squashing and I'm really split on it. Cool inline path. Inline path? You like this. And then check. Check box. Why are you split on squashing? Or as some may say, why are you squashed on squashing? That doesn't really make any sense, but you know what I'm saying. If your commits add and remove a bunch of stuff, it's probably a nice plan. Or if you have a lot of commits that just have a lot of garbage, right? Like, or you like, one of your commits is literally just like adding a new line, you know, that's not a very good commit. So you can always check to see which commits you have, or what your commits have in like their just whatever, by hitting with a git log p. I don't remember what the p flag does, but it does, or what the p flag stands for, but it allows you to check to see like the changes from each commit. So that's generally what I like to use. I know that you can use like, I know Git Kraken is a visual editor. I know GitHub has their own Git UI thingy, I think. New lines to satisfy check style. Oh baby. I've been there before. I've been there before. And let me tell you, that is so garbage. Alright, so item. So this is a project. This is a pop-up item, so it has a check box. So let's do add child item, then item check dot group. All right, so now we're just going completely off the rails, by the way, because we are no longer using static typing. Not a huge fan of it, but it's all right. I think that should work. Yeah. And then we'll just need to look for whenever you click on create edit, we'll check to see which button is currently pressed. Get press button. Yeah. Oh no. Hold on. Hold on. That's tough. I guess we can hard code it here as like a get parents for pop-up item. I've been brought up with the one significant thing, one commit mindset. I guess there's many small changes I was squashing together. Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's not like one process that everyone follows for like commits. Like some people use commits as like, this is just how you save your work. But other people follow like your mindset, which is like one significant thing, one commit. I more tend to like, if there's like a breaking change, I'll do it. If not, I won't commit. So if I'm about to do something risky, I'll make a commit. Or if I'm done writing a feature, I'll commit. That's what I'll do. So I use it kind of like a save state, but not as just like a regular save, which is just ridiculous, right? So this is some sort of base button. All right, so let's add a doc string for myself. Personalized, send a commit before I go to sleep. Maybe I'm about to delete something that might be useful. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I didn't finish anything before I went to sleep, it's probably not worth committing. But want to know something that is worth committing? Check this out. I don't know if anyone was here for this, but this is what I was working on before this current project of mine. So if you're familiar with VTubers, most of them use this stuff, and so there's like just a bunch of garbage commits in this repository because I just don't know what I'm doing. So I mean, this is something where like, I know I've been talking about having like meaningful commits, but like I'm pretty sure all the commits in this are just like changes or like change to be better, but it's not like actually better. So if anything, most of the commits are actually super misleading in this. So if the head wasn't in the way, by the way, you could see the eyes blinking, but for some reason, this texture here is overlaying on this texture, but the Z indices are all correct, so I don't know what's going on. But yeah, there are 83 meshes, and they all have like parts of the sprite sheet mapped to it. The hard part is just getting them to render correctly in Godot. Yeah, that's for live 2D in Godot and all that. It's tough. Commits are cheap. If you commit after you finish a feature, that would be one significant thing too. I don't know. It depends like what you consider a feature, right? Like I consider a feature to be like closer to like a user story. So like I want to do a thing, and that's a feature, right? But I'm not sure what you would define as like, I suppose it depends from team to team and like individual to individual, I suppose, on what constitutes a significant feature, a significant thing. Like for some people, right? If you're like really new, a significant thing would be like, oh, I got my program to compile. It's like, yeah, I guess. Or like I added like a new menu item. Like, yeah, I guess, sure. It's not really, you know, it's an achievement for sure if you're new, but it's not like something I would consider significant. But it's just based off of your experience and like how often you've also lost data, I suppose. All right, so this is not actually, boy, this needs to return I get parent. This is pretty bad, by the way. I would not recommend this. Get parents, get parent. Oh baby, look at that. It's beautiful. So on create edit. So that's hooked up to our create edit button. So what you would want to do is if template group get pressed button. Actually, what does this return if nothing is pressed? Returns the current pressed button. I suppose like this could be null. So this gives you some sort of base button. When your commit says it fixes something and then 2 commits later it says it fixes it again. That happens to me a lot. Like we can even check that commit. Maybe. I think I have too many windows open. Yeah, I do have too many windows open. How ironic. On Windows, there's too many windows. Live 2D test project. I don't know. We can check our git log. Yeah, there's back to 2D. Move more things into shaders, add shaders. Actually, most of these are pretty good commits. Now I'm looking at it again. Update for Rust API changes from Rust. Yeah, actually, never mind. I'm full of crap. I don't know what I'm talking about. These are good commits. Most of them. I suppose API changes is kind of like non-specific, but you know, what are you gonna do? Not equal to null, then what do I do with this? So this is like some sort of node. We don't really care what it is. Get parent for pop-up button, which is the pressed button. I don't know. Print pressed button. I just want to see if this will work. Oh, I saw a bunch of red. Never a good sign. Can't preload resource at path. Does it not? Am I not allowed to preload this or no? Huh. Interesting. So I guess we can just regular load it, I suppose. It's kind of jank. And then it's a null object because no object, nothing is selected. Neat. Cool. But we'll definitely want to load it in once. I suppose we don't, at this point, if we're not preloading it, because preloading it implies that it's loaded at when the scene is created, so you'd never want to use one of your preloads in ready. I suppose you could, but generally want to avoid that. So this is var pop-up item. So some sort of pack scene, because we only ever use it here, right? So just slap it here. Pop-up item. Say goodbye to regular item. Yeah. BRB. Well, luckily for you, I am actually way over time. So let me commit all my stuff, and I'll just send this to the whatever realm. Git commit, git add all. Let's call it init, I don't know. Let's see, change the organization. We'll put everything under friendly potato, because I'm just a weirdo like that. Let's see, friendly potato. Project manager, we'll make it public, that's all right. Git remote, add origin, one of these. And because this is mostly like a personal project, let's really mess with people here. Git branch, modify, senpai. There we go. Just to make it like ultra incompatible with other things. We can always change it back to like master or whatever. There we go. It's beautiful. There we go. So yeah, so if you're interested in whatever I've been working on here, you can always just take a look at that repository. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I will be live tomorrow from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, working on probably a pixel art editor. So that should be fun. For the Godot add-on jam. A shame I couldn't get more work done, but as it turns out, there's a lot of there's a lot of setup that needs to be done if you want to work on like a project manager thingy. But I'll work on that in my free time. Yeah, if you haven't given the channel a follow already, I highly encourage you to do so. I stream Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and on Wednesdays from 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. But of course, today I went a little over. There's a Discord if you want to check that out. There's the GitHub. There's the repo for the bot, etc., etc. Anyways, yeah, I'll see you later. Goodbye.